I want you to stop for a second and really feel this moment. Right here, right now. This isn't just another minute slipping by on the clock. This is your life. This moment, this breath, it's real, it's alive, and it's yours. See, people always say things like, "One day I'll get around to it," or "I'm waiting for the right time." But I'm here to tell you there is no one day. There's only today. Moments are the seeds of destiny. The smallest decision, the quietest whisper in your soul, can shift the whole trajectory of your life. You ever think about how different your life would be if you had turned left instead of right that one time? If you had picked up the phone, if you had said yes when you were scared, or no, when it would have been easier to give in? See, life doesn't ask for your permission to move forward, it keeps going, with or without you. And the choices you make today are the blueprint for everything that follows. I remember being 20 years old, standing on a street corner in Mount Vernon. I had just dropped out of college, didn't know which way was up. I was lost. My mother told me, "Denzel, you're going to end up in jail or worse if you keep living like this." And let me tell you something, it wasn't a sermon that changed me. It wasn't a grand Hollywood moment. It was a quiet night. I was looking in the mirror, no money in my pocket, just a spark of a thought. This can't be it. There's got to be more. That thought, that moment, that was the beginning. I didn't have a script. I didn't have a guarantee. All I had was a decision. And that decision to believe in something better, to chase it even when I couldn't see it, that's what made all the difference. So hear me, don't underestimate the power of a single moment. Because it's never just a moment, it's the first domino, it's the first stroke of paint on the canvas, it's the spark before the fire, and once you light that fire, once you commit fully, no turning back, that's when your life starts to change. Not someday, not when the world gives you permission, but now. I remember being a young man just starting out, hustling through the streets of New York City with a dream that felt bigger than the sky and pockets that couldn't even hold spare change. I was auditioning for roles, chasing down agents, standing in long lines in the cold and getting told no, more times than I could count. Rejection started to feel like a daily routine. But you know what hurt the most? It wasn't the no. It wasn't the closed doors or the sideways glances. It was the quiet moments after, when I was alone with myself. No stage, no spotlight, just me and the mirror. Because the truth is, the hardest test you'll ever face is the one you take in private. That mirror, man, it doesn't lie. It doesn't care who you're trying to impress. It's not fooled by charm or charisma. You can fool the world, but you can't fool that reflection. And I had to ask myself over and over again, who are you becoming? Are you walking your talk? Are you building something real or just performing for applause? And that's where the real growth begins, not when someone else sees your talent, but when you start holding yourself accountable. It's easy to stand tall when the lights are on and the crowd is cheering. But who are you when nobody's watching? Who are you at 2 a.m. when you're staring at the ceiling, knowing you cut corners today? When you betrayed your own standard just to make it through? That's what I call the mirror test. Every single day, we make choices, small ones, quiet ones that define who we are. Not the big speeches, not the awards, not the job titles or the number of followers. It's the choices no one sees. Do you show up on time when there's no one to reward you? Do you tell the truth when a lie would be easier? Do you stay loyal when it costs you something? Integrity is not just a buzzword, it's a foundation. It's the voice in your gut that says, "This is who I am," even when it's uncomfortable. I've sat across from people who looked like they had it all together, but behind their smile was emptiness because they couldn't face the person in the mirror. So let me tell you something, not from a stage, but from experience. If you don't like what you see in the mirror today, don't run from it. Don't numb it, don't distract yourself, face it, because every great life is built not in the spotlight, but in the shadows when you decide, day after day, to be someone you can live with, someone you can be proud of. When the applause fades, when the crowd goes home, when the lights shut off, that mirror will still be there. Make sure the person staring back at you is someone you respect. We live in a time where everybody wants to be seen. Everybody's chasing attention, chasing followers, chasing validation. It's like people are starving for applause, thirsty for likes, addicted to being visible. But let me tell you something from the heart: visibility isn't the same as value. Just because people are looking at you doesn't mean they see you. Just because they're clapping doesn't mean you're doing something that matters. I've seen folks get everything they thought they wanted: fame, money, status, and still feel empty. Still feel lost, because they climbed the ladder fast, but it was leaning against the wrong wall. They traded purpose for popularity, and by the time they realized it, the cost was too high. I had moments early in my career when I was tempted to take roles just because they would make me more visible. Maybe they weren't right for me, maybe they didn't speak to my spirit, but they offered fame, recognition, a seat at the table. But here's the truth: not every seat is worth sitting in. If you've got to shrink yourself to fit into a space, it's not your space. If you've got to compromise your values to be accepted, then that acceptance isn't worth having. I'd rather be respected for what I stand for than admired for something I'm pretending to be. I'd rather walk a quiet road of purpose than ride a loud wave of approval that leads nowhere. Purpose, that's what wakes you up in the morning when you're tired. Purpose is what keeps you moving when the applause stops. Purpose gives you peace at night, not because everybody loves you, but because you love what you're doing. You can chase popularity all you want, but it's like chasing smoke. It shifts, it fades. One minute they love you, the next minute they don't. One click, one rumor, and it's gone. But purpose, that's different. Purpose is rooted. Purpose is real. Purpose is when your gifts align with something greater than yourself. It's when your work touches lives. It's when you're not just making noise, you're making impact. You might not be the most famous, you might not go viral, but if you're walking in purpose, you're building something eternal. You're creating work that echoes long after you're gone. The world will try to convince you that success is about numbers, numbers in your bank account, numbers on your page, numbers at the box office. But real success is when you're aligned, when your soul isn't at war with your actions. So ask yourself, what are you really chasing? Who are you trying to impress? And at what cost? Because at the end of the day, when the trends shift, when the spotlight dims, when the applause goes quiet, all that remains is the truth of what you stood for. Stand for something that means something. Choose purpose every time. Pain is not your enemy. It's not something to run from or numb out or pretend doesn't exist. Pain is a teacher, one of the most honest, unrelenting teachers you'll ever have in this life. We all go through it: heartbreak, loss, rejection, failure. Disappointment so sharp it cuts right through your pride. You don't make it through life untouched. Nobody does. But what separates people is what they do with their pain. Some folks let pain define them. They carry it like a badge of defeat. It becomes their excuse, their limitation. They say, "This happened to me," and stop the story right there. But others, the ones who rise, the ones who turn the pain into fuel, they say, "This happened to me, but it didn't break me, it built me. I've felt that pain, I've carried that weight. And I've learned that when life puts you on your knees, it's not just to knock you down, sometimes it's to force you to pray, to reflect, to reset. I think back to when my father passed, a strong man, disciplined, quiet but powerful. He worked multiple jobs to provide, never asked for recognition, just did what needed to be done. When he was gone, I felt this emptiness, like the ground underneath me had cracked. And for a while, I was angry. I was lost. But in that loss, I found a deeper sense of who I was and what I came from. Pain has a way of introducing you to parts of yourself you didn't even know were there. You learn how strong you really are when strong is the only option you've got. Some of the most powerful things I've ever done as a man, as an actor, as a father came out of moments when I was hurting. Because pain brings clarity, it burns away the surface stuff and shows you what really matters. And let me say this too, don't be ashamed of your pain. Don't hide it like it's a weakness, that scar on your heart. That's not failure, that's evidence. That's proof that you've survived something, that you've been through something and kept going. You don't have to pretend to be untouched to be powerful. In fact, your power lives in your wounds. Some of the most beautiful art, most honest performances, Most moving speeches, they come from people who stopped running from their pain and started using it. That's where the authenticity lies. That's where the breakthrough is. Whatever pain you're carrying, emotional, spiritual, physical, I want you to know it's not in vain. If you lean into it, if you listen, if you let it shape you instead of shatter you, you'll come out stronger. Sharper, wiser. Don't waste your suffering. Don't bury it under distractions and fake smiles. Build with it, write with it, create with it, lead with it. Let it humble you, but don't let it harden you. Because when you take that pain and turn it into something meaningful, something real, now you're not just surviving, you're transforming. And that transformation, that's where your greatness is born. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. You might have come from nothing. You might have been counted out, doubted, overlooked, underestimated. Maybe you've made mistakes, big ones. Maybe you've failed, fallen, lost your way. But that doesn't define you, because every morning you wake up with breath in your lungs. You've got another shot. You've got another page to write. And you've got the power to decide how this chapter ends. I've seen people who started strong, all the talent in the world, all the opportunity laid out in front of them, but they coasted. They got comfortable. Or maybe they thought early success was enough. And little by little, they let it all slip away. And then I've seen people who were behind from the beginning, didn't have the connections, didn't have the money, didn't even have much belief in themselves at first, but they kept showing up. They kept working, growing, humbling themselves, doing the hard things, and they passed everybody else. Because they made a decision. I'm going to finish strong. That's what separates the average from the extraordinary. Not who had the better start, but who had the stronger finish. You don't need to have it all figured out right now. You don't have to have the perfect plan or the perfect timing. What you need is commitment. What you need is consistency. What you need is to stop waiting for everything to be easy and start moving even when it's hard. Some of you are in a season right now where you're tired. You're questioning yourself. You're wondering if any of this is worth it. And let me tell you, if it was easy, everybody would do it. But you weren't made for easy. You were made for excellence. You were built to go the distance. You don't need applause to keep going. You don't need permission to be great. What you need is the courage to keep showing up, even when no one's clapping, even when nobody sees the work. Because finishing strong isn't about how loud you are. It's about how faithful you are. Faithful to your gift. Faithful to your calling. Faithful to the vision that was placed inside you. One of the greatest honors of your life will be being able to look back and say, I didn't quit. I gave it everything I had. So if you're still breathing, you're still in the race. If you're still trying, you're still in the fight. Don't let your past tell you how this ends. Don't let failure speak louder than your future. Put your head down. Do the work. Love people. Keep your integrity. And move like you know that what's ahead is greater than what's behind. Whatever you do, wherever you are, finish strong. Not for applause. Not for validation. But because greatness demands it. Because your legacy deserves it. And because the rest of your life, the very best of your life, is still waiting on the other side of your discipline. So now, we've come full circle. We talked about the moment, this moment, and how what you choose to do with it can shape the rest of your life. We looked in the mirror, we faced the truth, we talked about walking with integrity even when no one's watching. We stripped away the noise, the clout, chasing, and got back to purpose, your purpose. We sat with the pain, not as victims, but as warriors who know how to use every scar as a stepping stone. And finally, we stood at the edge of the future, reminded that it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. So what now? Now, you decide. You decide if you're going to keep living in rewind, or start pressing play on your potential. You decide if you're going to wait for the perfect moment, or realize the perfect moment is the one you're standing in. You decide if you're going to keep hiding behind fear, behind doubt, behind past mistakes, or step out and claim the life that's been calling you all along. Because no one else can finish your story for you. No one else can rise from your ashes, carry your pain, or fulfill your calling. That's your responsibility, that's your gift, and that's your legacy. So from this moment forward, not tomorrow, not next year, from this moment forward, walk like you were made for more. Speak like your voice matters. Love like it's your last chance, and grind like heaven is watching. You've got one life, one shot. What you do today echoes for the rest of your life. So ask yourself when it's all said and done, when the credits roll, when the chapter closes, what will your life have stood for? Make it count and finish it strong.